Okay, now that we've got our new migration added, we've got our entities configured, what we can do now is go back to our message hub. So let's just close all of these open tabs and we'll go to our message hub. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to create a couple of private methods that's going to handle adding and removing a user from a group. So what we'll do, just below all of this, we'll add a private method in here, and it's going to be an async task, and we'll return a boolean from this, and we're going to say add to group. And what we're going to pass this is the hub caller context, which gives us access to our current username and also the connection ID, and we'll call it context, and we'll also add a string for the group name. And inside here, what we're going to do, we're going to say var group equals await, and then our message repository, and we're going to say get group, or message group as we called it in this case. And this takes the group name, so we'll pass this in there. And what we'll also do is we'll get a new connection as well. So when a user connects to this hub, they're always given a new connection ID, unless they're reconnecting. So what we'll do is we'll say var connection equals new connection, and we'll pass this the context.connection ID as the first parameter, and the context.user.getUsername as the second parameter. And we'll check to see if the group is equal to null. And if it is, we're going to say group equals new message group, or new group, and we're going to give it the group name. And then we'll access our message repository, and we'll say add group, and we'll pass in the group. And then what we can do is say group.connections.add, and we can add the connection that we've created. And what we can do here is return and say await, and we're going to say message repository, and we're going to say save all async. And this method returns a boolean, which matches what we're doing up here. And what we'll also do is we'll add a private async task, and we won't return anything from this. We'll just say remove from message group, and we'll pass in the string of the connection ID. And what we want to do here is say var connection equals await, and then message repository, and we're going to say get connection, and we'll pass in the connection ID. And then we'll say message repository and remove connection, and we'll pass in that connection. And then we can just say await and message repository, and we'll just say save all async. And now we've got something to do when we connect a new user, or a new user connects or disconnects from this message hub. So what we'll do, we'll scroll up to where we've got the onConnected async method. And what we'll do is after we've added them to the group, we'll say await, and we'll say add to group. And we'll pass in the context, which is our hub caller context, and we'll also pass in the group name. And then what we can do when we're disconnecting, we can say await, and we can say remove from message group, and we can take the or pass in the context and the connection ID. So we've done all of that work. What does this give us? Well, if we go to our send message, and I've got a breakpoint there I don't need, and what we can do is we can move our get group name, we'll move this up out of the if statement because we need access to it earlier on. So we're going to get our group name, and then what we can do is say, and let's change this to group name instead of group, and we'll also change this down here as well. And what we'll do is say var group equals, and then we can say await, and we can go to our message repository, and we can get our message group, and we can pass in the group name. And then what we can do and say if group.connections.any, and we'll need to bring in system.link to use this. We can say x goes to x.username is equal to recipients.username, then inside here we can say message.dateRead is equal to datetime, and we're going to start using UTC now inside these, and we're going to need to change a few other methods to use this for reasons that I'll explain soon, because we're going to have a mix match of different time zones, etc., based on the way that .NET returns the dates. But we'll come on to that. And then what we'll do is we're going to add our message, and then we still go and save our changes and return the message to the client. So all of that work for a tiny little bit of functionality, but that tiny little bit of functionality, let's go and see if it actually works now that we've done this. And let's just go ahead and refresh the page first of all. And I'll do the same for Lisa. And what we'll find is that all of the messages are now marked as read anyway, because we get the messages back. Now notice the difference between Safari and Chrome. We've got 7 hours from now in Safari, and we've got different times inside Chrome. And like I say, we'll deal with that very soon. But what we should find, because Lisa and Todd are both connected to the same group, and if I say hello, then we can see that this message has been read. We now know if two users are connected. And if I go across and let's move out of this and I go to About Lisa, instead of the Messages tab, then I send another message and say hello again, then this time it's unread. And if Lisa goes back and clicks on Messages, then she reads the message, and inside here it's marked as read as well. Now, these times are all over the place, and we're going to correct that, and we're going to take a look at that next.